Meet Zara. She was the kind of woman who lit up every room she entered, confident, ambitious, and full of dreams. Then she met Eric. Charming, attentive, and always saying the right things, he felt like the answer to everything she'd ever hoped for. But soon, little things started to chip away at her happiness. At first, it was the way he dismissed her opinions with a casual laugh. Then came the late-night texts she wasn't allowed to question, followed by the subtle comments about how she dressed or spent her time. Zara told herself it was normal. Maybe she was overreacting. But deep down, she knew something was wrong. Months later, Zara barely recognized herself. She was constantly walking on eggshells, apologizing for things she didn't do, and doubting her every move. The radiant, confident woman she once was had become a shadow of herself. It wasn't until she broke down in front of her best friend, sobbing over why she felt so unworthy, that she finally asked the question that changed everything: why do I feel this way? Why this matters. Radiant Rebels, Zara's story is heartbreaking, but it's one so many women silently live through. Recognizing toxic traits early can save you from years of pain and self-doubt. Here's the truth: the longer you ignore those subtle red flags, the harder it becomes to walk away. But when you do, when you choose yourself over settling for less, you create space for a relationship that honors your worth, respects your boundaries, and uplifts your spirit. In this video, we're diving into the traits you cannot ignore. Knowing these will help you protect your energy and attract men who align with your values. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share could completely shift how you view relationships this year. Don't keep this empowerment to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Recognizing the signs of a toxic man. Emotional manipulation. Radiant Rebels, emotional manipulation is one of the sneakiest tactics a toxic man uses. It's not always obvious at first. You might notice that you're feeling guilty for things that aren't even your fault, or that you're questioning yourself over things that don't make sense. A toxic man will try to twist your words, make you second-guess your own reality, and leave you feeling confused and drained. This is called gaslighting. It's an attempt to make you doubt your own perception, your own feelings, and your own truth. The more you start to question yourself, the more control he gains over you. In Zara's case, Eric would tell her she was too sensitive whenever she spoke up about something that bothered her. Over time, she started thinking she was the one with the problem, not him. If you're ever made to feel like your emotions are invalid, pay attention, because it's one of the clearest red flags. Lack of accountability. A man who can't own up to his mistakes is someone who will never grow, and that's something you don't want to be tied to. The lack of accountability often comes in the form of blame shifting. Whenever something goes wrong, a toxic man will make it about you, or find any excuse to avoid responsibility. He'll point fingers, make excuses, or deny any wrongdoing. This is exactly what Zara experienced with Eric. If something went wrong, he always made her feel like it was her fault, even if she wasn't involved. Eventually, she started questioning whether she was the problem. This can be emotionally exhausting, and it destroys trust. Trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship, and without it, you're just playing a game you'll never win. Disrespectful behavior. Sometimes, the disrespect starts subtly. A toxic man may interrupt you when you're speaking, dismiss your opinions, or belittle your thoughts and feelings. It might seem like nothing in the beginning, but little acts of disrespect build up over time. When someone truly values you, they listen to you, respect your boundaries, and treat you with care. Eric would frequently interrupt Zara, cutting her off mid-sentence, or make jokes at her expense that weren't funny, just hurtful. It wasn't blatant, but the pattern was there. It left her feeling small, insignificant, and like she didn't matter. If you're in a relationship where you're constantly fighting to be heard or valued, that's a huge red flag. Your voice deserves to be respected. Why it's so important to recognize these signs early. Recognizing these toxic behaviors early is crucial because they don't get better with time, they only get worse. The longer you stay in a situation like this, the more you'll lose sight of who you really are. Zara's journey is a wake-up call for all of us. She had to go through heartbreak and pain to realize her worth, but you don't have to. Once you can spot these traits, you'll be able to protect your heart and your energy. This is how you make room for a relationship that truly values you for who you are. A relationship where respect, honesty, and accountability are the foundation. Next, we'll dive into how you can start attracting high-value men who not only match your energy but add to it. This shift begins with you, radiant rebels. The psychology behind toxic traits. Toxic traits in men often stem from deep-rooted insecurities or a need to feel in control. These men might have faced emotional neglect, manipulation, or trauma in their past, which now plays out as controlling behaviors or emotional shutdowns. They may feel insecure about their own worth, and instead of confronting it, they project that insecurity onto their partner. It's a defense mechanism for them, but it's incredibly damaging to you. These behaviors, like gaslighting, blame shifting, or belittling, stem from their inability to process emotions in a healthy way. Unfortunately, when you're on the receiving end of it, it chips away at your self-esteem, makes you second-guess your reality, and creates an emotional roller coaster that leaves you drained. As Zara learned, these toxic traits didn't just impact her relationship with Eric, they affected her mental health, too. She found herself anxious, insecure, and always questioning if she was enough. It took a toll on her peace of mind, her energy, and her confidence. If you've been through something similar, you know how deeply it can affect your sense of self-worth. Empowered exit strategies. Trust your intuition. Radiant rebels, your intuition is powerful. It's that feeling in your gut telling you that something isn't quite right. Zara's story shows us that when you start noticing these toxic traits, it's vital to trust your instincts. Don't ignore that feeling. You are not crazy, and you are not imagining things. That little voice that says this doesn't feel good is your body's way of telling you to pay attention. When you trust your intuition, you start listening to the truth that's already within you. Don't dismiss those red flags just because you want the relationship to work or because you've invested time. Your peace and emotional health come first. Setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is essential in protecting your energy and emotional well-being. But it's not always easy, especially with someone who is used to crossing your lines. Communicating your limits firmly but kindly is the first step to taking back control of the relationship. Let the other person know what behavior is not acceptable. Zara struggled with this, but once she started setting clear boundaries, she felt empowered and more in control of her emotions. Stick to your boundaries, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. If someone truly cares about you, they will respect your limits and adjust their behavior. Walking away with confidence. Leaving a toxic relationship can feel scary, especially when the person on the other side is trying to guilt trip you into staying. But remember this, you are not obligated to stay in a relationship that makes you feel less than. Zara had a hard time walking away from Eric, but when she did, she felt a weight lifted off her shoulders. Here's the thing, you are allowed to leave. And you don't need anyone's permission to choose your own happiness. Walking away from a toxic man is not an act of weakness, it's one of the strongest things you can do for yourself. Traits of a high-value man to look for instead. Emotional stability. A high-value man has emotional maturity. He doesn't react impulsively, and he knows how to handle conflict in a calm, respectful manner. He doesn't shut down or lash out when things get tough. Instead, he communicates openly and works through issues together. Zara's story would have looked a lot different if Eric had this level of emotional stability. A grounded man can take accountability for his mistakes and doesn't let emotions control him. If you're looking for someone who will treat you with kindness and respect, emotional stability should be at the top of your list. Respect and communication. Respect is non-negotiable. A high-value man listens to you, values your opinions, and communicates openly. When things go wrong, he'll talk through it calmly without playing games or making you feel less than. He doesn't interrupt or belittle you. Instead, he sees you as an equal and values your thoughts and feelings. In a healthy relationship, communication should flow freely. It's not about being perfect, but it is about being transparent and honest with each other. Shared values and goals. One of the biggest signs that you're in a high-value relationship is the alignment of values and life goals. A grounded man will share your vision for the future, whether it's about family, career, or lifestyle. This alignment makes the relationship easier because both of you are working towards the same big picture. Zara learned the hard way that being with someone who doesn't align with your values only creates friction. A high-value man supports your dreams and works alongside you to build something meaningful. Empowerment message. Your time and energy are precious, radiant rebels. By recognizing these toxic traits, you're not only protecting your peace but also paving the way for a healthier, more fulfilling love life. Remember, you deserve to be with someone who respects you, values your worth, and brings out the best in you. If this resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more empowering content like this. Share it with your friends, and hit that like button to keep the conversation going. You've got this, Radiant Rebels. Let's make 2025 the year of attracting the right kind of love.